Hello, one and all, and welcome to Let's Play Katawa Shoujo. I am the Max Few Trades, and this is going to be an interesting experience, I imagine, for all of us. This is a Patreon-sponsored Let's Play. Somebody recommended and requested that I play this, and at first I agreed to it, simply because, yeah, sure, why not? But then I learned some things, and I was wondering for a good while on whether or not that this was anything resembling a good idea. If you're seeing this right now, ultimately, that means I decided that it was at least a decent enough idea, and we're going through with it. If you've never seen this game before, I don't know a ton, for obvious reasons. This is a blind playthrough, but there are two aspects to it that make it a little bit more different than my usual fare for the channel. One, while I have played games with visual novel-like aesthetics and, you know, trappings like Phoenix Wright or Danganronpa or even Persona to a little bit of an extent, this is just basically a book. There are branching paths, I've heard, so there's that. I'll have choices in that regard, but for the most part, I'm mostly going to be reading something of what appears to be a romance novel. So that was part of what kind of concerned me. The second part is, okay, so I'm just gonna go into options real quick. And, so you might notice this one at the top. I'm going to actually have to checkmark that, because I have been informed that there are some things that go down in this game that could get me in trouble if they were witnessed on my channel. So we're not going to be having any of that. I hear that it's actually a very rare occurrence, like maybe like once or twice per path, and each path lasts a pretty good chunk of time. So it's not like it's going to be a major thing, but that was a bit of a concern for me for a while. Not 100% sure how I'm going to be going around it, because I've also heard how they go about disabling the content. Either way, we'll get to it when we get to it. So, this is probably going to be a fairly different Let's Play from literally everything else I've ever done on this channel over the past almost 10 years. I'm probably going to try and take this in a bit more of a relaxed manner. I'm normally a high-energy dude in general, so that's just kind of gonna be a hard thing for me to stop being. I'll still, you know, I'll point out and make funny little observations as they appear now and then, but only when they're tonally appropriate. So I don't exactly know the full extent of what we're going to experience here. I just know the general premise, and I won't really get into it right now. You guys will see it when you see it. But, apparently this game is gonna explore some pretty dark themes, so yeah, viewer discretion is advised. If you're down for it, you're down for it, you know, I guess. So, really just kind of look at this as me reading to you a book. It is story time with the Max Few Trades, and we'll be reading Katawa Shoujo. And, deep apologies if I mispronounce literally anything. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry. It's just going to happen, but I'll do my best. That's about as much pre-ramble as I can physically manage. I've been putting this game off for a very long time. Let's just go. A light breeze causes the naked branches overhead to rattle like wooden wind chimes. This is a popular retreat for couples in the summer. The deciduous trees provide a beautiful green canopy, far out of sight of teachers and fellow students. If you're a big fan of the winter times, I imagine it's rather pleasant. But now, in late winter, it feels like I'm standing under a pile of kindling. I breathe into my cupped hands and rub them together furiously to prevent them from numbing in this cold. Relatable. Just how long am I expected to wait out here anyway? I'm sure the note said 4 o'clock p.m. Ah yes, the note. Slipped between the pages of my math book while I wasn't looking. As far as cliches go, I'm more a fan of the letter in the locker, but at least this way shows a bit more of initiative. Okay. As I ponder the meaning of the note, the snowfall gradually thickens. The snowflakes silently falling from the white painted sky are the only sign of time passing in this stagnant world. My man's is, definitely a bit of a poet here. Their slow descent upon the frozen forest makes it seem like time has slowed to a crawl. The rustling of dry snow underfoot startles me, interrupting the quiet mood. Someone is approaching me from behind. 'Twas an assassin, no doubt. Hi, Hisao? You came? A hesitating, barely audible question. However, I recognize the owner of that dainty voice instantly. I feel my heart skip a beat. It's a voice I've listened to hundreds of times, but never as more than an eavesdropper to a conversation. And I assure you, it sounds weirder than it actually is. It was never on purpose, I swear. I turn to face this voice, the voice of my dreams, and my heart begins to race. Oh boy, am I gonna say that right? Owanako? I got a note telling me to wait here. It was yours? Damn it, I spent all afternoon trying to come up with a good line, and that was the result. Swing and a miss. Pathetic. Aha, yeah. I asked a friend to give you that note. I'm so glad you got it. A shy, joyous smile that makes me so tense I couldn't move a single muscle even if I tried. Oh. My heart is pounding now, as if it were trying to burst out from my chest and claim this girl for itself. That seemed a little ominous, if I'm being honest with you. So, here we are, out in the cold. Once again, the wind stirs up the branches. The cacophonous noise is music to my ears. My goodness. All right, we're gonna get a lot of words. Owanako flinches every so often, ever so softly against the gust of wind. As it passes, she rights herself, as if supported by some new confidence. Her eyes lock with mine, and she lazily twirls her long dark hair around her finger. All the while, the anxious beating of my heart grows louder. My throat is tight. I doubt I could even force a word out if I tried. You see, I wanted to know if you'd go out with me. I stand there, motionless, save for my pounding heart. The graphics imply that this is no ordinary heart pum-pum-pum-pum. I want to say something in reply, but my vocal cords feel like they've been stretched beyond the breaking point. Hisao? I reach up to try to massage my throat, but this only sends spikes of blinding pain along my arms. Hisao? My whole body freezes save for my eyes, which shoot open in terror. Oh dear. I think you may have had a heart attack. Hisao! The beating in my chest suddenly stops and I go weak at the knees. Oh. The world around me, the canopy of bare branches, the dull winter sky, Owanako running towards me, all these fade to black. The last things I remember before slipping away are the sounds of Owanako screaming for help and the incessant clatter of the branches above. Well, that's a way to start it. Damn. Okay, well, so far you appear to be alive. Always a good start. It's my understanding that this game was basically just made by a bunch of people on the internet. And I got it for free off their website, so I imagine you could do the same if you're interested. I find it interesting that it was never, commercially put up anywhere. Considering, all of the praises I've heard about it over the many years, you figure there'd be a market for it at least. Or maybe they just don't want to sell it. That's possible. I'm just not used to seeing, usernames pop up underneath credits like this. It's been 4 months since my heart attack. Okay, I ain't a doctor. That just sounded a lot like what was going on there. And that whole time, I can probably count the times I've left this hospital room unsupervised on one hand. 4 months is a pretty long time when you're left alone with your thoughts, so I've had plenty of time to come to terms with my situation. Arrhythmia. A strange word, a foreign, alien one that you don't want to be in the same room with. A rare condition. It causes the heart to act erratically and occasionally beat way too fast. It can be fatal. Apparently, I've had it for a long time. They said it was a miracle that I was able to go on for so long without anything happening. Is that really a miracle? I guess it was supposed to make me feel better, more appreciative of my life. Really didn't do anything to cheer me up. My parents, I think, were hit harder by the news than I was. They practically had 2 hemorrhages apiece. I had already had a full day by then to digest everything. To them, it was all fresh. They were even willing to sell our house in order to pay for a cure. Of course, there isn't a cure. Because of the late discovery of this condition, I've had to stay at the hospital to recuperate from the treatments. When I was first admitted, it felt as if I was missed. For about a week, my room in the ward was full of flowers, balloons, and cards. But the visitors soon dwindled, and all the get-well gifts began trickling down to nothing shortly after. I realized that the only reason I'd gotten so many cards and flowers because sending me their sympathy had been turned into a class project. Maybe some people were genuinely concerned, but I doubt it. Even in the beginning, I barely had visitors. By the end of the first month, only my parents came by on a regular basis. Yamaku was the last to stop visiting. After 6 weeks, I never saw her again. Never had that much to talk about when she visited anyway. We didn't touch the subject that was between us on that snowy day ever again. Quite frankly, the fact that she even tried at all is admirable. That feels like a gargantuanly awkward situation. But, The hospital? It's not really a place I'd like to live in. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the place either, if I'm being honest. The doctor and nurses feel so impersonal and faceless. I guess it's because they're in a hurry and they have a million other patients waiting for them, but it makes me feel uncomfortable. For the first month or so, I asked the head cardiologist every time I saw him for a rough estimate of when I'd be able to leave. He never answered anything in a straightforward way, but told me to wait and see if the treatment and surgeries worked. So I idly observed the scar that those surgeries had left on my chest slowly change its appearance over time, thinking of it as some kind of an omen. I still ask the head cardiologist about leaving, but my expectations are low enough now that I'm not disappointed anymore when I don't get a reply. The way he shuffles around the answer shows that there is at least some hope. Okay, that's good. At some point, I stopped watching TV. I don't know why, I just did. Maybe it was the wrong kind of escapism for my situation. I started reading instead. There was a small library at the hospital, although it was more like a storeroom for books. I began working my way through it, one small stack at a time. After consuming them, I would go back for more. I found that I liked reading, and I think I even became a bit addicted. Started feeling naked without a book in my hands. I mean, the discovering of a new hobby is never a bad thing. Kinda hard to find bright spots in the situation. But you're doing something. You aren't just laying there. It's something. But I loved the stories. That was what my life was like. The days became increasingly harder to distinguish from each other, differing only by the book I was reading and the weather outside. Felt like time blurred into some kind of gooey mass. I was trapped inside instead of moving within. A week could go by without me really noticing it. I don't much care for the fact that I can say I know how that feels. I've never spent a long period of time in a hospital, but I do know what it feels like to have kind of time and space just kind of fuse itself all together so it just feels like one massive brick. Ugh. Sometimes I'd pause in realization that I didn't know what day of the week it was. But other times, all the things that surrounded me would painfully crash into my consciousness through the barrier of nonchalance I had set up for myself. The pages of my book would start to feel sharp and burning hot, and the heaviness in my chest would become so hard to bear that I had to put the book aside and just lay down for a while, looking at the ceiling as if I was going to cry. But that happened only rarely, and I couldn't even cry. Today, the doctor comes in and gives me a smile. He seems excited, but not very. It's like he's trying to make an effort to be happy on my behalf. My parents are here. It's been a few days since I've last seen them. Both of them are even sort of dressed up. Is this supposed to be some kind of special occasion? It's not a party. There's this ritual the head cardiologist has. He takes his time sorting his papers, then setting them aside as if to make a point of the pointlessness of what he just did. Ah! Oh, yeah. Okay, I've known a few that do that way. Then he casually sits down on the edge of the bed next to mine. He looks me in the eyes for a moment. Hello, Hisao. How are you today? I don't answer him, but I smile a little back at him. I believe that you can go home. Your heart is stronger now, and with some precautions, you should be fine. We have all your medications sorted out. I'll give your father the prescription. The doctor hands a sheet of paper to my dad, whose expression turns wooden as he reads it quickly. So many. I take it from his hand and take a look myself, feeling numb. How am I supposed to react to this? Whoa. Whoa, my. The absurdly long list of medications staring back at me from the paper seems insurmountable. They all blend together in a sea of letters. This is insane. Side effects, adverse effects, contradictions in dosages are listed line after line with cold precision. I try to read them, but it's so futile. I can't understand any of it. Attempting to only makes me feel sicker. All this, for the rest of my life, every day? I'm afraid that's the best we can do at this point. However, new medications are always being developed, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that list fade over the years. Years. What kind of confidence booster is that? I'd have felt better if he hadn't said anything at all. Also, I've spoken with your parents, and we believe that it would be best if you don't return to your old school. What? Please, calm down, Hisao. Listen to what the doctor has to say. Calm down? The way he says it tells me he knew full well that I wouldn't like it. Am I gonna be homeschooled? Whatever of my concern shows is ignored. We all understand that your education is paramount. However, I don't think that it's wise for you to be without supervision. At least not until we're sure that your medication is suitable. So I've spoken to your parents about a transfer. It's a school called Yamaku Academy that specializes in dealing with disabled students. Disabled? What? Am I? It has a 24-hour nursing staff, and it's only a few minutes from a highly regarded general hospital. The majority of students live on the campus. Think of it as a boarding school of sorts. It's designed to give students a degree of independence while keeping help nearby. Independence? It's a school for disabled kids. Don't try to disguise that fact. If it was really that free, there wouldn't be a 24-hour nursing staff, and you wouldn't make a hospital being nearby a selling point. Of course, that's only if you want to go, but your mother and I aren't really able to homeschool you. We went out there and had a look a couple of weeks back. I think you'd like it. Looks like I don't really have a choice. Compared to other heart problems, people with your condition usually tend to live long lives. You'll need a job one day, and this is a good opportunity to continue your education. Boy, howdy, would that put a pep in my step, I'll tell you that. Ugh. This isn't an opportunity. Don't call it an opportunity. Don't call it a goddamned opportunity. Well, you should be excited at the chance to go back to school. Remember, you wanted to return to school, and, well, it's not the same one. Special school, that's an insult. That's what I want to say. It's a step down. It's not what you think. All the students there are pretty active in their own sort of way. You know, I get the overwhelming impression that once you actually get there, it will be a lot better, but I do have to mildly side with Hisao on the front that they're really not selling it that well. I feel like eventually we're gonna find a decently happy place here, but they really gotta work on their pitchman skills. It's not great. It's geared towards students that can still get around and learn, but just need a little help in one way or another. Your father's right. Many of the graduates of the school have gone on to do amazing things. A person doesn't have to be held back by their disability. One of my colleagues at another hospital is a graduate. I don't care. A person doesn't have to be held back by the disability. That's what a disability is. I really hate that something so important was decided for me. What can I do about it? A normal life is out of the question now. It's funny. I always thought my life was actually kind of boring, but now I miss it. Yeah, I suppose I can see how that makes sense. I want to protest. I want to blame the lack of reaction on shock or fatigue. I could easily yell out something now. Something about how I could go back to school anyway, but no. I don't say anything. The fact is that I know now it's futile. I look around the room feeling very tired of all of this. The hospital, doctors, my condition, everything. I don't see anything that would make me feel any different. Really isn't a choice, I know this. But the thought of going to a disabled school, what are those even like? As much as I try to put a positive spin on this, it's very difficult. But let me try. A clean slate isn't a bad thing. That is all I can think of to get me through this. At least I still have something. Even if it's a special school, it's something. It's a fresh start, and my life isn't over. It'd be a mistake to just resign myself to thinking that. Okay, there you go. That's something. At the very least, I'll try to see what my new life will look like. That's good. So that's why the logo looks that way. Ah, Act 1, life expectancy. Wow, this game is going to places, ain't it? Okay. Trying to keep things, with a tinge of levity without underselling the very serious currents going on here. I'm doing my best. The gate looked far too pompous for what it was. In fact, gates in general seem to do that, but this one especially so. And trust me, I know a lot about gates. Red bricks, black wrought iron, and gray plaster, assembled into a whole that didn't feel welcoming at all. Wonder if it looked like what a gate for a school should look like, but couldn't really decide. Probably no. I'm just kind of spitballing here. Of course, I didn't want to get stuck on thinking about the gate for too long, so I entered through it with a brisk pace that felt surprisingly good. Moving forward feels good. Yeah, I imagine having to sit or lay down for over 4 months. Walking around would probably be a nice change of pace. So I walked toward the main building of Yamaku Academy. With this brisk pace, I'm alone as my parents are taking my stuff to the dorms, and there's supposed to be someone waiting for me. The grounds are incredibly lush, filled with green. Doesn't feel like the kind of grounds a school would have. More like a park, with a clean walkway going past trees and the smell of fresh-cut grass and all other park-like things. I don't see no swing sets or hopped scotch, so what kind of park could it be? Words like clean and hygienic pop into my mind. Makes me shudder. I shake them off. Stay open-minded now. Slap, slap. It's your new life. You have to take it as it comes. That's what I tell myself. A few big buildings loom behind the leafy canopies. Too big and too many for just a school. Everything seems off. It's different when I thought I knew about schools. It's an uncanny valley. Even though I was told this is my new school, in the back of my head, it doesn't feel like one. I mean, were you in a public or a private school beforehand? Because, I mean, if it's basically also, they described it as basically a boarding school too. You know, you can live here. I imagine that would have an incredibly different aesthetic compared to, you know, one you would just go to strictly for classes. That would basically be something of a combination school and hotel. I've never been to one, but that does sound like it would be kind of weird. I wonder if the feeling is real or caused by my expectations of a school for the disabled. Speaking of that, I don't see anyone else here. It's kind of eerie. I am curious about how many students are here. Makes me wish there was somebody here so I could anchor myself to something tangible instead of having this feeling that I stepped into another dimension. The trees hum with the wind, and the green hues flashing around me catch my attention. It makes me think about hospitals again. How they say that the operating rooms are painted green because green is a calming color. So am I feeling so anxious despite all this greenery? You probably become desensitized to it. Color theory is a real and useful thing, but only in moderation. I mean, if you're surrounded by the color red forever, eventually it's gonna not induce the emotions that it's known for doing. Only after I stand in front of the haughty main building, I surprise myself by realizing why the gate bothered me. It was the last chance I had to turn back, even if I had no life I could return to. But still, after entering, there was absolutely no way I could go back anymore. Did it lock behind you? Feeling nervous, and with this realization set in my head, I opened the front door. A tall man with bad posture notices me as I enter. We're the only people in the lobby, so it's only logical. You must be Nakai. So you are! Excellent! I'm your homeroom and science teacher. My name is Muto. Or Mutao? I think it's Muto. Welcome. We exchange a handshake that is neither firm nor sloppy, and he looks at his watch. Wow, so we're in a time period where watches are still a thing. Neat. The head nurse asked you for a brief check-in visit, but there's no time for that now. Oh, should I go later? Yeah, afternoon is probably fine. We should get going and introduce you to the rest of the class. They're waiting already. Waiting for me? I don't really like being the center of attention, but I guess it's inevitable in a situation like this. Man, am I glad that this is a school trope that I had never been forced to be exposed to, personally. Ugh. Somehow, not knowing what is waiting for me makes me feel really nervous. Thinking of this, I almost miss what the teacher is saying. Do you want to introduce yourself to the class? I mean, it's either that or have someone just kind of talk vague at, bullet points at class. I mean, sure. Yeah, sure, I mean, isn't that normal? Of course, but not everyone likes to be at the center of attention. I'm probably one of those people, but I guess I should be the one to give the first impression of myself. It's good to stick your foot out at least a little. Right, but it's no problem. Let's go then. My heart is pounding in my chest and it keeps me thinking about my condition as I follow the teacher up the stairs. The third door down the third floor corridor is marked as the classroom for class 3-3. Sound effects play and they startled me ever so slightly. Muto opens the door and enters. Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm late again. I hesitate for a split second at the door, freezing on the spot. Get a grip. This is a big step, I know that. There isn't any point to worrying so much about it, at least not this soon. I'm just sorry, I was scanning the class. I follow the teacher into the classroom and look around, partially so I won't have to meet the curious gaze of my new classmates, as they are kind of known to do. Alright, I see what appears to be, somebody with a cane, perhaps blind? That guy seems to be missing an ear. I can't say for certain, but that girl might be lacking a hand. Oof. But not all of them are incredibly obvious. Makes sense, I guess the guy I'm playing as doesn't have an obvious ailment either. But I guess it's basically a school for literally all kinds of impairments. I guess that makes sense. It's pretty spacious. The ceiling is unusually high, and there's lots of space left over around and in between the desks. An entire wall taken up by blackboards, and the high, old-fashioned windows only make it seem larger. The students' desks are just standard wooden desks with a shelf underneath for books and wooden chairs with metal frames. Simple and efficient. I stop walking in front of the classroom and face the other students. They all look normal, like students in any other school, but then why would they be here? I guess it's only upon closer inspection. They're probably like me and have something wrong with them, only it's just not immediately obvious. Oh, hey, there's more, hello. Then, I noticed that one of the girls seems to be missing the thumb of her right hand. It's a little jarring. I'm not 100% sure what the dude in the far back is going on about. Is he okay? I'm not sure if he's asleep or having a serious problem. Despite the natural tendency to listen when someone's talking about you, I tune out the teacher's speech halfway through while he introduces me to the class. I notice a flash of dark hair and see that someone is looking at me. A girl with really long, straight hair that is pretty eye-catching. When she sees me looking back at her, she covers her face with her hands as if it will make her invisible. There's one boy with a cane leaning against the lockers at the rear of the class. It's weird seeing someone so young with a cane. Another girl seems to be making some weird hand motions? Sign language? She peers at me over the rim of her glasses, then goes back to whatever she's doing. She's kind of cute. So's the cheery-looking girl with the pink hair sitting next to her. She's really hard to miss. I don't know how I didn't notice her the moment I walked in. Yeah, she's kind of the only character I've noticing so far with a straight, clear-cut example of anime hair. Huh. Please welcome our newest classmate. He claps his hands, and so does everyone else, except for one girl in the first row who has only one hand. I cringe a little, but hide it by bowing, and thanks to the applause I did not deserve. A collective silence tells me that I should open my mouth now. So I'm Hisao Nakai, and after that, my hobbies are reading and soccer. Hope to get along well with everyone, even though I'm a new student. And after that, I'm being so boring. This is exactly like every self-introduction ever. I should say something more exciting. I end up saying nothing, and the teacher picks up from there. Mood! Everyone seems to be satisfied, even with what little I said. Though a few girls are whispering to each other, throwing glances at me. It could have gone worse. I've seen and gone through worse. I listen to the teacher as he drones about getting along well, letting my gaze seep across the classroom. Everyone seems to be listening to him intently, and when he's done, they clap their hands again, which feels like a weird thing to do. The first row claps on this round with... Oh, the first row girl claps on this with one hand against her other wrist that ends in a bandaged stump. She ain't letting that keep her down. Makes me feel a little bad. We're gonna be doing some group work today, so that'll give you a chance to talk with everyone. Is that okay with you? Oh, very much is not. Yeah, that's fine with me, is what you have to say. That's good. You can work with Hakamichi. She is the class representative. She can explain anything you might want to know. And who else would be able to do that better, right? How could I know? The teacher passes out the day's assignments and announces that we will be working in groups of 3. It hits me that I don't know who Hakamichi is. Slow, the teacher seems to catch my helpless expression. Can I get a vague estimate? Maybe even a point. Oh, right, Hakamichi is right over there. Shinzune Hakamichi. Oh. As he calls out her name, the cute, bubbly-looking girl with bright pink hair and gold eyes waves her hand at me. I take a seat next to her by the window. Hey, I guess you're Hakamichi, right? It's nice to meet you. What? I'm caught off guard by your laughter. It's nice to meet you too, but I'm not Hakamichi. I'm Misha. This is Hakamichi Shichan. Oh, glasses girl. Giggling, Misha points to the girl next to her, the one I saw using sign language before. Looks like she's been staring at me this whole time. She nods once nonchalantly to show that she acknowledges my presence, but only barely. You know what? That's better than you could generally hope for. We take those. She has short, yet carefully, neatly brushed hair, a pair of oval-shaped glasses balanced on the tip of a dainty nose, and dark blue eyes that seem to alternate every few seconds between analytical and slightly bored. All right, that's fair. It's nice to meet you. She immediately looks at Misha, who smiles and makes a few quick gestures with her hands. Hakamichi nods and makes a few gestures of her own. Okay, so I'm wagering a guess here that Hakamichi here is deaf, basically. I start to wonder if the teacher was messing with me, saying things like, you'll be able to talk to people, and who better to explain things to you. I can see you're a little confused, right? Right? But I understand why you would think I was Shichan. Shichan is deaf, so I'm the person who translates things back and forth for her. I'm like an interpreter. She says it's nice to meet you too. You're the new student, aren't you? Well, Shichan, of course he is. If he wasn't, he wouldn't have been standing up there for no reason, right? Right? He seems like a very interesting person, doesn't he? We knew there was gonna be a new student, but we didn't know you'd be here today so soon. Hichan, right? Hichan? Yep, it fits, doesn't it? Did I say it out loud? Just surprised, I've never liked that nickname. I don't really see how. It fits. You look just like I imagined. Yeah, you look just like a Hichan, or Hichan. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm gonna go with Hichan. I wonder why everyone seems to think so. Hakamichi taps her finger on the desk to get Misha's attention. They gesture back and forth to each other excitedly, their hands a blur. Man, have you ever seen someone actually, interpret sign language? Man, it is something to see, I'll tell you. Misha seems a little overwhelmed. Sorry about that. Shichan wants you to know that she's the class rep, so if there's anything you need to know, you can feel free to ask her. Or I suppose more accurately, ask Misha, and she'll basically be the middle woman. Fair enough. Do you like the school so far? They can show you around a little if you haven't had the time to walk around and familiarize yourself with it. Misha stumbles with the hard word a bit, making it stick out in her otherwise fluid translation. Thanks, that would be pretty helpful. Yeah, I just came straight to class today. That's no good. You should always try to learn as much as you can about where you're going before you go there. Not just with school, either. Always. Even if it's a trip to the convenience store. Really, Shichan? I'm gonna go with Shichan. Learn about where you're going. I guess I didn't bother to do that, or just didn't care enough to do so. Yeah, I didn't look forward to this, even if I committed myself to go along with it half-assedly, but anyway. I don't say anything, and Misha signs something that ends in a shrug. What was that? Seems like it was about me. You tried to sass me? I feel like slumping over in my seat. Both of them are smiling, but that shrug hit me unexpectedly deeply. It cut like a knife. You look down. You okay? I'm going through some stuff. Don't take it the wrong way, please. I hate it when people are afraid to ask questions. And that's how people learn things, by asking. Asking for help is perfectly normal as much as needing help. Stop looking like you just failed a test. All right. It's kind of hard to tell where the Misha begins and ends here. And another thing, you don't have to call Shichan something so formal like Hakamichi or class rep all the time. Just call her Shichan. Okay, maybe that's too casual. Maybe Shizun would be more appropriate. Yep, Shizun is fine. Okay, that would be a lot easier for me. It's not, actually. I feel like I knew how to pronounce her last name better. Oh, boy. I feel a lot more at ease. Both of them seem so friendly. So I feel like an idiot for being so apprehensive earlier. Especially about Shizun, who I assumed would be all business. It's the glasses, you see. Well, she still seems like that. Just less so, I guess. Huh? Oh, right. We haven't even touched the assignment. We should start work now, or Shichan will get mad. The assignment is also kind of long, so we should start now if we want to finish it before the class ends. That too. Shizun glares at the two of us impatiently. I don't need to know sign language to understand that. Okay, I get the message. After class, we can take a walk around the grounds together. It's a nice day today, okay? The assignment is actually very challenging to get through, combining aspects of being both difficult and unnecessarily long. So, schoolwork, yeah. Been there, lived that. Still, we finished it a few minutes earlier than anyone else in the class, despite our late start. Shizun and Misha are really capable. They're quite different, though. The class rep is as calm and professional as she looks, while Misha is a lot more playful and girlish, not to mention a little more easily distracted. To be honest, the two of them did most of the work. I feel guilty about that. Okay, luckily... Okay, nope, never mind. That second wave hit me harder. That's one of the single most obnoxious noises in the face of the earth for me on a personal level, because I had to hear it so much in my own school, and it was just the arbiter of bad times. I was going to say it's sounded at least a little less terrible here, because it was not the exact same one, but yeah, no, the second pass, that hit just as badly as I thought it would. Okay, here's something they don't play that too often. The clock tower bell rings, signaling the end of the period. Time for lunch. Everybody loves food. Without knowing what else to do, I follow Misha, who is beckoning me into the hall and down the stairs. We descend even below the lobby where I met Muto, down to the bottom floor. Just like everything in the school, the cafeteria seems too spacious and oddly modern, in contrast to the classic exterior. Its big windows open to the courtyard towards the main gate. It's the cafeteria! Yes, I was going to say that I have eyes and could see that, but at the same time, that feels like it's in bad taste, so I won't. Her enthusiastic statement of the obvious makes people around us stare, but Misha doesn't seem to care, so we proceed to the line. Methinks this is a common goings-ons for her. There's a rather long list of menu options, which seems great until I realize that many of them are meant to accommodate students who need special diets. Makes sense. There would be a lot of those. Oh, nice. It almost feels like I'm back at the hospital eating portioned measured with scientific precision to meet the needs of the patients. I pick something at random and follow Shizun to the table sitting opposite of her. As I nibble indifferently at the food I'd rather not eat, Misha pokes me in the side to get my attention and points to Shizun. Okay, well, first of all, rude. There are many ways to get one's attention. Poking is not kind. I don't understand signs, so the point escapes me. Maybe looking at a person who talks to you is proper and polite. Significantly more so, I would imagine. Just because they can't actually verbalize, I doubt that doesn't mean that they wouldn't appreciate eye contact. Do you want to know something? What? About anything. We're your guides, so you should ask us if there is something. I wonder. Well, that's something just completely abrupt. I guess I could ask, but, Hey, ho, you know, the guy likes books. Is there a library up in this place? Oh, yeah. Is there a library in the school? Lately, I've gotten into reading a lot, so I'd like to check it out. Misha gives the kind of frown that makes it clear she doesn't consider reading a healthy hobby, but then picks up her smile again. Judgmental! There it is. It's in the second floor. I can show it to you sometime. Thanks. I return to my food while the girls talk between themselves. Misha and Shizun sign back and forth animately, though throwing sideways glances at me, but Misha refrains from translating. Gossip! Maybe they're talking about secret girl stuff or something. They do have their own language. I guess literally in this particular instance. I quickly notice the conversation is not enough to fill a silence. We arrive at the classroom early, but we're not the first. Whoa, hello. The dark-haired girl I noticed before is slumped over her desk at the last row. She jumps a little when Misha crashes into the room with the elegance of a rhino. Hey, don't be hating on rhinos, they can be elegant. I've seen a rhino put out fires. She shrinks deeper into her seat. You can feel her tension all the way from here, as if she were slowly turning into stone just from her presence. Misha and Shizun either don't notice or don't mind it, as they walk directly past her to their seats and begin to converse. I'm left wondering about her, even when the classroom slowly fills with other students and finally the teacher. Getting into the rhythm of school feels strange. It's just my brain remembers how this is done, but my body doesn't. Toward the end of class, I start yawning and counting the minutes left. I shouldn't be this tired on my first day of school. Maybe it's the long time I spent in the hospital that made me like this, even feeling physically weak and lifeless. Well, I mean, if you have actually been lying down and not being physically active for 4 straight months, it's not gonna be a drastic atrophication, but it is going to be noteworthy. You probably aren't that physically well off right now. Just, aside from the condition, obviously. Before long, the final bell rings. School is finally over for the day. Beside me, Misha and Shizun are having a short conversation. After a bit of deliberation, Misha turns to me. Unfortunately, we can't stay and show you around today, Hichan. We've got to hurry already, since there's a lot of work for us to do. You'll find your way around here, I'm sure of it. Ah, wait, the teacher said I'd have to see the nurse. Where do I have to go? Is that so? Well, we can at least show you that much. Come on, the nurses have their own building, so we have to go outside. Not the outdoors! Ah! We join the flow of students making their way down their stairwell and outside, with the girls pointing out other senior classrooms in the same hallway as ours. In case I needed to know about those, I guess? I don't know. When we get outside, the girls make their way to the smaller building right next to the school. It's built in the same style, so it looks like it's actually a part of the main building. This is the auxiliary building here. There's a lot of official and important stuff inside, like the Yamaku Foundation offices and all the nurses' office. They even have a swimming pool. Wow, this place is pretty high budget. How's that official? One can officially swim. Don't be silly, Hichan. It's for physical therapy, of course. Not recreation, it's serious business. Anyway, all the nursing staff facilities are in there too. The head nurse's office is on the first floor. You'll be fine from here, right? I'll be going then. See you tomorrow. Yeah, thanks. Bye. I like these gals' style. They look nice. Seem nice too. You don't really get that sort of thing that often. A whole building for stuff that has nothing to do with the actual education? I guess it's necessary for a place like this. I walk in hoping that this really will be only a quick visit like the teacher said. On a white door on the left is a green cross with the text head nurse and a nameplate. A noise from the inside... Did I say a noise? A voice from the inside responds to my knock almost immediately, but I can't quite make it out. It sounded a bit like an invitation to open the door, so I invite myself further in. Ahoy hoy! The room is not large and it smells strange. That's a medical office, all right. A friendly-looking man turns around on his office chair to face me as I enter. His desk is neat and tidy, but the bin under the table is overflowing with used medical utensils, and there are at least a dozen coffee cup rings lingering on the desk. Have you ever heard of a coaster? Hello there. What can I do for you today? He's young-looking and sort of rugged, but the dimples in his cheeks wash the impression away when he smiles. Are you the nurse? He smiles like a person who's heard this very same question hundreds of times. Yes, I am. Says so on the door, no? You can call me by my name or just the nurse like everyone else. Of course, I shake off my confusion, realizing I probably should grab his extended hand. Are you caught off guard by it being a dude? Because I assure you there are male nurses. That's not exactly a new development. His handshake is rather firm and friendly. Right, I'm a new student, and my homeroom teacher told me to come and meet you. My name is Sasao Nakai. His eyes light up with a revelation, and he snaps his fingers. Oh, you're that Nakai. I was just reading your file in the morning, and his eyes do open! Some kind of chronic arrhythmia and related congenital heart muscle deficiency, right? He gestures me to sit down in a vacant armchair in front of his desk. Yeah. Good. Well, you've probably been briefed about the school enough, so I'll just go over this quickly. We have all kinds of facilities available, mostly physical therapy and such. There's always someone from my staff around, even at night, so never hesitate to call us if there's a problem. Famous 24-hour nursing staff. Wow, this is like a hospital. Well, not exactly. For instance, we don't do brain surgery here. His joke feels so out of place that I'm left thinking why he even said it. Yeah, just that it's really weird to have so many medical people at a school. Yeah, I'll get used to it. You don't have a choice. Ooh. I'm not so sure of that myself, but I don't let the nurse know it. Now, let me just find your file again. While he searches for something from his computer and shovels stacks of papers around, I let my gaze wander around the room. It's the epitome of generic, I'd like to say. I feel like this guy's got a lot of sarcastic quips and comments he would prefer to be saying and just choosing not to. Beige walls and ceiling, dark gray laminate flooring, and all the equipment you'd expect from a nurse's school office. I said the same thing, just in a different order. Even the ridiculous educational posters are hanging on all four walls, reminding me to eat properly 3 times a day and from all the food groups. I mostly eat bread. Smiling the nurse, yeah. Okay. The nurse draws a thick file from a stack of similarly thick files and opens it. So, you already have medication for the arrhythmia. Just remember to take your pills every morning and evening, or it won't be much help. Apart from that, do you do any sports? Rash stuff like, I don't know, boxing? He grins to his own joke, but I don't, because why would I? Well, I played soccer occasionally with some classmates. All right, I'm afraid I'm going to have to recommend you refrain from doing that, at least for the time being. Oh. My lack of reaction makes him raise an eyebrow, but really I'm not too bothered by him forbidding me to kick a ball around. I guess I never did it out of burning passion for the sport, just to have something to do. Any kind of concussion might be very dangerous to your heart, and risking another attack is not a good idea. Was the previous one caused by a sudden concussion to the chest area? There is no mention of the cause in your papers. Not exactly. I sidestep the question acceptably, and he glances at me over his papers with a more serious expression on his face. Mayhaps I do not wish to go into that particular detail. Still, you need to keep your body healthy, so some exercise would do you good. We have physical therapy and such as available, as I said, but I don't think you really need such heavy measures. Just get some light exercise regularly. Brisk walks, or even light jogging, jumping rope, that sort of thing. Swimming, maybe? There's a pool here. So I was told. You were? Very good. At any rate, I'm sure you've been told this before, so you just need to take care and not to overexert yourself. All that jiggity jazz. He wags his finger to emphasize the point. No need, really. I've heard this 1,000 times already. Absolutely no unnecessary risks. Take care of yourself. Oh, yeah. He goes over my papers one more time and sets them on the desk, obviously content. Good. That's it then. Come meet me if you ever need something. I'm ushered out before I even realized it a quick visit indeed. I end up standing in front of the main building and the auxiliary building, although to my eyes, they still look one and the same. It's the first real look I get at the other students, so I watch people coming out of the school going towards the gate of the dorms. Everyone seems to know where they're going, and I still keep thinking that most of them don't look too special for being students at a special school. And again, neither do I. Does that make me one of them? Or one of us? I should go somewhere too to prevent me from getting lost. It's around dinner time, but I feel tired instead of hungry. The weariness in me only grows as I trudge towards the dorms, set a little way apart from the main building complex. Yeah, it's kind of been a day, and again, atrophication! There's a garden of sorts between the school and the dorms. Shrubbery, flowers, and that overbearing smell of fresh-cut grass that fills the atmosphere. That's actually grass's distress pheromone, or something to that effect. I read somewhere that basically when you cut grass, it basically, like, responds and panically makes a scent happen, and that's what fresh-cut grass smells like. Basically, fresh-cut grass smells like fear and panic of being horribly injured. So, enjoy that news and knowledge for the rest of your days. It dawns on my tired mind that the smell feels novel because I haven't been outside at all for so long. The dorm building is big and made of red brick, like the others. It feels way too pompous for what it is, so I push forward going inside. It takes more time than necessary to fish out the key I was given from my pocket. Room 119. Despite the ornate exterior, the inside of the dorm is fairly new, functional, and boring. Just like in the main building, the halls and doors are wide to accommodate wheelchairs. The same goes for the elevators at the end of the hallways. Well, that's good. Obviously. Also, I don't think I've ever seen a sign like that in a different language. Neat. I poke my head around the corner of the common room door. Inside, a few students are watching the television. One nods and gives a quick hello before turning back to the TV. Seems that only the girls are around here are sociable. I suppose that's perfectly fine with me, and for, I imagine, the majority of the people who picked up this game. I'm not even sure if it has male characters. I mean, I guess I did meet the homeroom teacher and the nurse, but I meant, like, aside from that, you know? And once again, I do need to make a very firm point that I know absolutely nothing going into this. I know that there are paths and eventually you can, like, get with various gals. I'm not sure if both of the ones we met earlier are an option, but maybe? I climbed the stairs to the upper floor. Here, small corridors branch off from the main hallway, much like buildings tend to do. Each of these minor halls seem to have a toilet and shower, as well as 4 rooms. About halfway down the hall, I spy room 119. The nameplates on the room adjacent to mine are blank, and I guess there are just 2 of us here. Light shines from below the door of room 117, so I knock lightly. Hello? Is anybody home? From inside, I hear a few movements, then the clicking of way more locks than I thought these doors had. After a moment, the door squeaks open. A bespectacled boy is standing in the doorway. He is looking at me very intently through his extremely thick eyeglasses. That and the scarf kind of give me a bit of an impression here, but I'll see where we're going with this. Who is it? Blind? No, at least not completely. How would he have eyeglasses if he was? He leans closer to me until our noses are almost touching. His breath stinks of garlic. Hisao Nakai, I'm moving into the next room. I thought I should introduce His face suddenly brightens in realization, and he stands back upright, thrusting his hand out in a smiling greeting, almost straight to my diaphragm. Oh, sup, dude? Name's Kenji. Hi. I take Kenji's sweaty hand and shake it, still a little rattled by the sudden change of attitude and vehement welcome. Also, sweaty hand. That's fun. There were some suspicious-looking people going in and out of your room earlier. It was probably my parents. Your parents? You sure? There could have been some other people, too. Can't judge a book by its cover. His out-of-place proverb is left hanging between us awkwardly as I try to think of some way to respond. I'd say the chances are high enough. He shudders and makes some exaggerated hand gestures. You're a brave man, Hisao. Me? I don't think I could trust the chances. The only one I trust is myself. Does that mean I shouldn't get to know you either? He thinks about this for a while. A wise decision. Damn, you're smarter than you look. Probably. What do you look like? I hope not smart. He squints his eyes and leans closer again, but I lean backwards to dodge it. Never mind, doesn't matter. With that, he turns, fumbles around for a moment in search of the door handle, and shuts the door behind him. Good talk. I slide the key into the lock of the door marked 119 and just try to not think. Bleak beige walls, white linen, a desk made of some type of light wood, ugly curtains. It's no one's room, and personal, like my hospital room was. My bags are sitting at the foot of my bed looking a lot emptier than they did this morning. The closet is sitting open, stocked with my clothes. Also, it seems that there are a number of school uniforms hanging there as well. A note is pinned to the sleeve of one of my shirts. Hello. Hi, Hichan. We've unpacked your things and made your bed. They said that if these don't fit, then you should go to the office tomorrow. If you have any problems, you can always call us. Love, Mom and Dad. Well, at least I don't have to worry about unpacking. That's always a plus. Kind of hoped I would have, then there would have, then there would be something to do. Never mind. Good news rescinded. It's still too early. I put the note down on the desktop and lie down on the bed feeling drained. Lying there makes me want to read something, but I have nothing with me. I wonder if the hospital conditioned me for wanting to read whenever I have nothing to do. The restless urge just keeps growing until I have to stand up. Maybe it's stress or something. I was pretty nervous about it before coming, and for the entire day today, too. I still am, I think. Damn! I have to distract myself somehow, so I won't have this won't be this unnatural all the time. Tomorrow I'll go borrow some books from the library. Yeah, I'll do that. But for now, the bottle of medications neatly arranged on my night table catch my eye. I pick one up and shake it just to hear the contents rattle inside, and then read the glued-on pharmacy label. Hisao Nakai, 2 tablets daily to stay alive. Ah, well, delightful. Doesn't really say that, but it could just as well. Oh, alright, fair enough. It's kind of twisted, having your life depend on chemicals like this. I resent it a little. What choice do I have? With a sigh, I begin my new daily ritual of taking the right number of pills from each bottle, being careful to check the correct dosages. I lie down again, feeling hollow and uncertain. And after that, I keep staring at the blank, unfamiliar ceiling for a long time. So basically, he's had a great day. Doesn't start looking any more familiar. Not even after darkness falls and long shadows draw across my room like fingers. The sheets feel slightly more comfortable, warm and nest-like against the chill that passes for room temperature here. Soon the lighter shade of darkness, that is the ceiling, looks like every ceiling does at night, and it becomes the only thing I recognize anymore. This guy is going through some things. The night beckons me to sleep, and I feel the coldness of unfamiliarity and fear creeping up my spine once again. I keep drifting further away from the world I knew. Good start. Good start. Whew, boy.